The morning sun barely peeked over the rooftops as little Emma clutched her backpack straps tighter than usual. Walking to school had never felt scary before, but today, everything seemed different. Cars zoomed by, strangers hurried past, and the usual path to her classroom suddenly felt uncertain. She wished for someone she could trust, someone who could make her feel safe, just for a little while. That's when her eyes landed on a man stepping out of a sleek black car. He looked important, dressed sharply, exuding confidence, and radiating the kind of presence that made people notice him. Little did anyone know, he was Michael Thornton, a self-made millionaire CEO, whose decisions shaped entire companies, and whose life was far removed from the worries of a small child. Walking to school, gathering every ounce of courage, Emma approached him with a trembling voice. "Sir, could you walk me to school?" she asked, her words barely above a whisper. Michael paused, his sharp eyes meeting hers, and for a moment, the bustling city seemed to fade away. Everyone around them waited, curious, and then came his reply, one that no one, not even Emma, could have ever expected. What he said next would change everything. Michael Thornton's lips curved into a faint, unreadable smile. He crouched slightly to meet Emma at eye level, giving her the impression that, despite his wealth and status, he saw her as just another person in need of kindness. "Walk you to school?" he repeated softly, as if testing the words on his tongue. Around them, the city hummed with life, but Emma felt like she was in a quiet bubble, caught in the unexpected attention of a man whose life seemed so far from hers. Emma's small hand tightened around her backpack strap, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. She had seen him on television, read about his companies, and watched headlines boasting about his billions in business deals. A man like him didn't notice ordinary kids, and certainly didn't stop in the middle of a busy sidewalk to protect one. Yet here he was, pausing, considering her request. Michael glanced at his luxury car, then back at Emma, and for a fleeting moment, a shadow crossed his face, something unreadable, a hint of a past experience that seemed to weigh heavily on him. Emma didn't know it, but this small request was stirring memories he hadn't confronted in years. Finally, he nodded, but his next words, when he spoke, carried a weight that neither Emma nor anyone around could have guessed. Michael finally spoke, his voice calm but layered with something Emma couldn't quite place. "I can walk with you, but you need to promise me something first." Emma blinked, curiosity mixing with a hint of nervousness. "Anything," she whispered, as they began walking. The city streets felt different under Michael's presence. People glanced at him, some whispering, some pointing, recognizing the man who owned skyscrapers and headlines alike. Emma felt a mix of awe and comfort, but a quiet unease lingered. Why would someone so powerful care about a little girl's safety? Meanwhile, inside Michael's mind, a storm of memories brewed. He wasn't just a CEO making business decisions, he was someone who had faced danger in ways few could imagine. Years ago, a mistake had cost someone he cared about dearly, a lesson he never fully shook. Emma's simple request stirred that old guilt, blending it with a deep, instinctive desire to protect. Back in the neighborhood, other children noticed the unusual pair. Whispers started. A millionaire walking a little girl to school. Some admired him, some questioned his motives, and a few adults frowned, wondering if it was safe. Michael, however, remained focused, eyes scanning every corner, every street, as if the city itself might hide threats. Emma sensed something unspoken, a tension beneath his calm exterior. She wanted to ask questions, to understand, but something in the way he walked, purposeful, protective, made her hesitate. The journey was no longer just about getting to school. It was about trust, hidden fears, and secrets neither of them were ready to reveal. As they neared the corner where the school came into view, Michael's pace slowed, his sharp eyes scanning the street like a seasoned guard. Emma noticed the change, the way his jaw tightened, the subtle tension in his shoulders. Something was off. The ordinary morning walk suddenly felt charged with an invisible danger. A group of older kids loitered near the crosswalk, their laughter too loud, their movements unpredictable. Emma clutched Michael's hand without realizing it, instinctively seeking the safety he radiated. He tightened his grip ever so slightly, signaling both reassurance and alertness. The city noises seemed to fade, replaced by the pounding of her own heartbeat and the silent calculation in Michael's mind. He thought of the countless decisions he had made as a CEO, negotiations, risks, but nothing compared to this. Keeping a small, vulnerable life, safe in a world that moved fast and often without mercy. Every instinct screamed caution. Emma looked up at him, her eyes wide with trust and fear. "Are we going to be okay?" she asked softly. Michael didn't answer immediately, his gaze fixed on the street ahead, where shadows and uncertainty mingled. Then, just as the school gates appeared, a sudden movement caught his eye, something small but alarming, something that made his chest tighten. The next few seconds would demand every ounce of his attention, courage, and experience. And at that moment, neither Emma nor the bystanders could predict what would happen next. Michael's eyes narrowed as the movement ahead shifted again. At first it looked like a stray dog darting between parked cars, but then he realized it wasn't an animal at all. A man, dressed in dark clothing, lingered too long near the school entrance, glancing repeatedly in their direction. Michael's instincts kicked in. honed by years of high-stakes decisions and unexpected dangers. Something about the way the man moved felt deliberate, calculated, and far from ordinary. Emma noticed the tension, her small hand gripping his arm. "Who's that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Michael didn't answer. Instead, he subtly adjusted his position, putting himself between Emma and the figure. The normal chatter of children and parents waiting at the school gates faded into background noise as his focus sharpened. Just as they were about to cross the street, the man made a sudden move, dropping something onto the sidewalk. Michael's eyes caught it instantly, a small device, blinking ominously. His heart sank. This wasn't a random passerby. The situation had escalated far beyond a simple walk to school. Emma's eyes widened in fear, sensing that something far bigger was unfolding, something she couldn't possibly understand. Michael's mind raced, calculating options, knowing that in mere seconds, their ordinary morning could turn into a moment that changed everything, and the stranger's next action would push both of them into uncharted territory. Michael's instincts exploded into action. In a blur, he swept Emma behind him, shielding her as the man lunged toward the device on the sidewalk. Michael's years of experience making split-second decisions kicked in. He grabbed the device just as it sparked. Feeling a jolt run through his hand, sparks flew, a small fire igniting briefly before he smashed it under his shoe. The device fizzled out, harmless now, but the tension in the air was electric. Emma clung to him, her eyes wide, finally realizing just how close danger had been. "You saved me," she gasped. Michael crouched to her level, his face softening as he gave her a reassuring smile. "I told you I'd keep you safe," he said, though his mind was still racing, scanning the street, the crowd, and the fading figure of the man who had dropped the device. Just as relief began to settle, a small envelope fell from the man's jacket, unnoticed by anyone else. Michael picked it up, flipping it open. Inside was a single card with Emma's name on it and a cryptic message. Asterisk, "This isn't over." Asterisk. Emma looked at him, confused and scared. Michael's eyes met hers, a mixture of determination and concern. The walk to school had ended safely, but the moment was a stark reminder. The world could be unpredictable, and sometimes, even the bravest protector could only do so much. The real story, it seemed, had only just begun. Michael held the envelope tightly, then looked down at Emma, who was finally beginning to smile through her tears. The fear of the morning was fading, replaced by a sense of safety and trust that only someone who truly cared could provide. "You're safe now," he said softly, guiding her through the school gates where teachers and parents were waiting. Unaware of the danger that had just passed, Emma waved goodbye, her small hand slipping from his as she ran toward her friends. Michael watched her go, a warm satisfaction spreading through him. In that moment, he realized that power and wealth weren't just about business deals or headlines. They were about the difference you could make in someone's life, even in the simplest, most human way. As he walked back toward his car, the envelope still in hand, Michael knew that challenges and surprises were part of life, but courage and kindness could change the outcome. The mysterious card reminded him to stay vigilant, yet it also symbolized the unexpected connections that could bring meaning beyond the boardroom. Emma would never forget the morning a millionaire CEO walked her to school, and Michael would carry the memory of a little girl's trust that reminded him why protecting others mattered more than anything. Life returned to its rhythm, but both knew the world was bigger and full of unexpected twists than they had ever imagined.